Andres is running a routine software test. At first glance, everything looks pretty normal. But then he notices something odd, a CPU load spike that doesn't quite add up. It's not a huge issue, but it's annoying, and he can't figure out the cause right away. What Andres doesn't realize is that this isn't just a random glitch. It's a hidden backdoor, planted carefully over years by hostile forces, likely state-sponsored hackers. It's now poised to spread worldwide, giving these attackers access to millions of servers, including those running critical systems for hospitals, companies, and governments. A master key to the internet and everything connected to it could soon fall into the wrong hands. Andres doesn't know any of this yet, but he's about to save the internet. To understand how we got here, let's take a step back and dive into the world of software engineering and one particular piece of code. Many programs we use are closed source, owned by companies like Microsoft, where only employees can modify and update the code. But then there's open source software, programs where the source code is open to everyone. Anyone can suggest changes, similar to how Wikipedia operates. Open source software forms the backbone of our digital infrastructure, but it's maintained by a small group of trusted individuals called maintainers. These maintainers oversee updates, review suggestions, and decide what gets implemented. Lasse Collin is one such maintainer. He spent years working on a Linux tool called xzutils. If you're unfamiliar, Linux is the most widely used open source operating system in the world. It powers most servers, supercomputers, and critical systems, even if you don't use it directly. xzutils is a tool for compressing data to make it faster to transfer and store, much like zip files. It's included in almost every major Linux distribution. Maintaining a tool like this is a big responsibility, but for Lasse, it's an unpaid passion project. Unfortunately, this workload and pressure started to overwhelm him. Two developers, Anant and Kumar, grew increasingly frustrated with Lasse's slow responses to their suggestions. Publicly, they criticized him for not keeping up with the project, even suggesting that a new maintainer might be needed. In response, Lasse admitted he was struggling. He opened up about mental health issues and hinted that someone named G-Tan might help take over some responsibilities. G-Tan had appeared quietly on GitHub in 2021. For over a year, she contributed small, helpful updates to other projects, slowly building trust. By 2022, she started working on xzutils and quickly became a regular contributor, polite, helpful, and diligent. Her friendly messages made her an ideal collaborator. By June 2022, she was promoted to co-maintainer, and over time, she began handling much of the project herself. By March 2023, she even redirected critical security alerts to her personal email. No one raised an eyebrow. Then another user, Hans Jansen, submitted a change to xzutils. G-Tan approved it without hesitation. 9 months later, in early 2024, Jansen pushed for this updated version of xzutils to be included in Debian, a widely respected Linux operating system known for its security and stability. Despite minor objections, the update moved forward. This is where Andres enters the story. Andres works as a developer at Microsoft and regularly contributes to open source projects. While running tests on a development version of Debian, he noticed something strange. SSH, a tool used for remotely accessing Linux machines, was suddenly consuming far more CPU resources than it should. It was subtle, but there was also a half-second delay that caught his attention. Most people wouldn't notice, but Andres did. He dug deeper and realized the issue was tied to xzutils. What he found was alarming. Someone had slipped a malicious backdoor into xzutils. This backdoor allowed attackers to gain unauthorized access to Linux systems via SSH. It was brilliantly disguised, so no one had caught it during the usual code reviews and testing. But the tiny delay, the one only Andres noticed, was a clue. On March 27, 2024, Andres reported his discovery to Debian's security team. Days later, he went public. The malicious code had been hidden in 2 versions of xzutils, and Andres suspected G-Tan had added it just before his discovery. The internet erupted. Had one person just single-handedly stopped a global cyber attack? The answer seemed to be yes. The U.S. Cyber Defense Agency issued an emergency security alert. Thankfully, the backdoor hadn't yet spread far, but it was dangerously close. The compromised versions had already made their way into test builds of major Linux distributions. mere steps away from massive deployment. An army of developers and cybersecurity experts mobilized to fix the issue. Within hours, they neutralized the backdoor. Disaster had been narrowly averted, but the implications were terrifying. If this backdoor had fully deployed, attackers could have accessed critical systems worldwide. Linux powers schools, hospitals, businesses, and even government systems, including those at the White House and U.S. Congress. In one move, the attackers could have crippled critical infrastructure, spread malware, and stolen sensitive information on a global scale. Andres Fr., the silverback gorilla of nerds and final boss of the internet, was hailed as a hero. Memes exploded online, and even Microsoft's CEO publicly praised him. The world had dodged a bullet, but questions remained. Who was really behind G10? Andre suspected she wasn't acting alone. Anand and Kumar seemed to have pressured Lhasa into stepping back, paving the way for G10. Then Jansen and others pushed the malicious update through. It was a masterclass in social engineering, manipulating people into decisions they otherwise wouldn't make. Investigators believe this attack took years of patience and precision, likely orchestrated by state-sponsored hackers. But from where? At first glance, G10's activity pointed to China, with posts aligning to the UTC-8 time zone. But this could be a smokescreen. Analysis showed G10 worked through major Chinese holidays while going silent on Western holidays like Christmas. Suspicious. Further digging hinted at Eastern Europe instead, possibly Russia. Some believe the infamous Russian hacker group AP29, known as Cozy Bear, was responsible, but so far no hard proof has emerged. This story is a wake-up call. While open-source software has revolutionized our digital world, it also reveals a critical vulnerability. Much of our infrastructure relies on volunteers, people like Lhasa Collin, who balance these projects with their personal lives. The attack on Exautils was one of the most sophisticated cyber threats in recent history. It's a stark reminder that we must prioritize the security of open-source software and better support the people who maintain it. Because next time we might not get lucky. Next time we might not have an Andres Fr. to save the day.